I am tentatively feeling a bit better about this one. Welcome, Blue Believers, to another episode of the Stamford Sync, where we are syncing up with everything Chelsea FC. And welcome back to another episode of Early Access, my series of match previews where we take a look at the upcoming Chelsea match, identify any danger men we might need to watch out for, and predict our starting 11s for the game. So we managed to get through the group by the skin of our teeth. Not really. We actually, reasonably comfortably got through the group, but we didn't make it look very easy, did we? We battered Esperance 3-0, and you would have expected it to go that way. But there were lots of nice little stories. If you are interested in my review of that match, please go and check the full video out on my YouTube channel. But we head into the round of 16, and we are coming up against a team we have a bit of a history with in Benfica of Portugal. So this is it, no more Conference League vibes. We are getting into Europa League vibes at this moment, right? We have Benfica to thank. Because they beat Bayern Munich 1-0 in their last outing, we managed to avoid Munich. Because if Benfica would have lost that game, then we'd have ended up against Bayern Munich, and nobody wants to play Bayern Munich at the moment. Regardless of the rest of their results, that 10-0 drubbing of Auckland was terrifying to watch. In fairness as well, although it's an amazing job to beat Bayern Munich on any day, don't get me wrong, they did put out a rotational squad for the Benfica game. Benfica went full strength and Bayern Munich did not. They made a load of changes at half-time, weren't able to pull it back. It was only a 1-0, so obviously hotly contested, stinky, stodgy football kind of game, but Benfica saw it out. And because of that, we get to play Benfica instead of Munich in the next round, which I am very grateful for. So it was a mixed bag of results for Benfica as well in their group stage. They drew their first game 2-2, they won their second game 6-0, and obviously beat the aforementioned Bayern Munich 1-0 in their last match. So it has been interesting looking into the Benfica team. Obviously, we've got, as I kind of mentioned, a storied history with them. Rafa Benitez beat them in the Europa League final a long time ago, and there's been a lot of player trading. Obviously, we've got Enzo Fernandez himself from Benfica, and they really held out for that price. And it looks like we might be sending Joao Felix back there in the not too distant future. As far as other recognisable names that us Chelsea fans and European football fans might know, they have the legendary Angel Di Maria still playing in their team, and man, he's still doing it. Do you know what I mean? He's still doing it. He's not as fast as he used to be, but he's still very technical, he's still very gifted, and he's still very dangerous. Other than that, there is Renato Sanchez, who has had spells a little bit like Joao Felix. He's had spells here, there, and everywhere. Started out at Benfica initially, but then made loads of crazy moves. He did Bayern Munich, obviously that didn't go particularly well. He did a year on loan at Swansea, had a reasonably good spell at Lille in Liga, spent a year at PSG, but was then later loaned to Roma and back to who he is with now, Benfica. So I assume he's still on loan because this kind of counts as the end of the season. So I guess that makes him a PSG player at the moment, but he's starting all of their games and he seems to be an integral part of their squad. At centre-back, they have the ex-Manchester City stalwart Nicolas Otamendi. He had a couple of seasons where he was a really, really good player, Nicolas Otamendi, and I think he's another one that actually came from Benfica initially as well. Obviously, they've got this welcome home kind of vibe going on, which if Joao Felix is anything to go by, could work really well in our favour. Another player that has come off the bench for them but isn't starting all of their games is Andrea Belotti. I don't know if you remember, but Belotti had one or two unbelievable seasons for Torino in Serie A, scoring 20 plus goals a season, and he was the next big thing, and then it just kind of never happened for him, and he tailed off a little bit, and he now finds himself at Benfica. So personally for me, the rest of the team is relative unknowns, but that is not to put them down at all, because Benfica are a good team, and as I said in one of my previous videos, to be in this competition means they must have been one of the better teams in Portugal in recent memory. So we got to take it seriously. We absolutely have to take it seriously. We didn't batter our group stage, which we should have in the grand scheme of things. Flamengo was obviously the upset. I feel like we should have scored more against LAFC, and we had a good outing with our rotated side against Esperance, but it didn't feel super confident all the way going through, did it? And there's still a lot of positional questions, so it'll be interesting to see with some of the stories and developments that we've seen in the last few games, especially the Esperance game, how this will affect our lineup and our performance going forward into the competition against Benfica in the round of 16. So without further ado, let's get into my predicted lineup. In the goalkeeper spot, I always say it, I have to say it because we don't have any options and it hurts me. It's Robert Sanchez. There is some really intriguing news going on at the moment in the goalkeeping department though, especially if you're interested, go and check out my last video on our supposed links to Emi Martinez. But as for right now, we've got what we've got. That is Robert Sanchez. He's played all of the games so far. Obviously, Jorgensen played for Esperance in a rotational kind of way, but this isn't a rotation game. This is by far and away the most obviously strong opposition we've come up against. Obviously, Flamengo were really good, but we know about Benfica, and we know if we don't take it seriously, then they'll probably get one over on us. So Robert Sanchez gets in goal for that reason. Reece James was on the bench for the last game, but I expect him to come back into that favoured right-back role where he inverts a little bit into midfield and keeps us a bit more defensively assured than someone like Malagusto. Left back, it's Marc Cucurella. It's always Marc Cucurella, and I'm just excited to see him play. I just love watching the guy play. Again, we don't really have any other options, do you know what I mean? But Marc Cucurella, left back spot, absolutely fine with that. And he's the one that will probably find himself coming up against Angel Di Maria, because he does seem to favour the right wing at the moment. So that'll be an interesting battle. Centre back, so Tosin played in the last game as a rotational option, but he got a goal, didn't he? That goal was good. And in a short form knockout tournament like this, you need someone on the pitch that can get you a goal from unusual places, and that could be Tosin Adarabioyo. For that reason, I expect him to start over Trevor Chalobah. And on the left centre-back role, it's going to be Levi Colwill. He comes back into the squad after having a rest. Hopefully he's feeling good. And after watching us go out and, play really well in that last game, hopefully a couple of these guys coming back into the squad feel galvanised and ready to prove themselves again. In the midfield, Moises Caicedo comes back into that number 6 role because no one does it better, do they? We love Moises Caicedo. Again, kind of glad he had a rest. In my last predictions video, I was a little bit overzealous in thinking we really need to win this game, so we put all of our first team out, but obviously that is not what happened. Moises Caicedo was rested the last game, so it is an easy one to expect him to come back in now. But for the other midfield spot, the more roamy, attacky, free kind of role, it's Enzo Fernandez. He had such a good game against Esperance. You've got to think he is going to be clucking to get back out there and provide some tasty assists for the rest of his team. Especially, he's going to have stronger players around him. In this game, they needed the Esperance game. So if he's feeling that fire of having come out and smashed it in the last game and he's ready to take us forward, then yeah, 100% he gets in the spot for me. In the attacking midfield, I expect us to be less experimental than we were in the last game. And I expect us to go back to Noni Madueke on the left, Cole Palmer in the middle, and Neto back on the right, because for the most of the competition, Neto has been our danger man. Tyrique George did have a great outing last time, but Madueke looks like he's starting to find his feet in that left wing role. So bring Tyrique George on towards the end of the game again, 100% up for that, but I think that's the smart thing to do for the starting lineup in this game. And for the number 9, there is only one choice because Jackson is still banned. And even if he wasn't, it's Liam Delap. Liam Delap got his first goal. He's now got 2 goal involvements in 3 games. He is revving up, he's warming up, he's getting ready to break the number 9 curse and bang in 20 goals next season. Clip that up, good or bad. And yeah, he just looks more of like what we need at the moment. He doesn't necessarily move around as much as like a Nicholas Jackson does, but with a big strong centre-back like Nicholas Otamendi, you need someone a little bit burlier and a little bit more self-assured. And I think Liam Delap is by far and away the most obvious option. And we're obviously hoping that he's starting to create this little psychic telekinetic connection with Enzo Fernandez for that absolutely lovely assist that he got over for him in the last game. Hopefully he can carry that on. I was really hoping that Cole Palmer would get a run out in the Esperance game, because judging by how it went, he probably almost definitely would have got something out of it, whether it be a goal or assist or just a few key passes really nicely linking the play together. But it makes sense that he'd been rested. He's played a lot of football recently and we need to not burn him out, because otherwise he's never going to find his form again. So I'm sure he'll come back into this game, and you got to think with Enzo Fernandez feeling so good and Liam Delap starting to feel like he's on fire with a couple of involvements in the last few games, maybe Cole Palmer can feed off of some of that and link up well with Enzo Fernandez and maybe provide something special for Liam Delap. So yeah, that's it. That is my lineup for the Benfica game. I'm really excited about this one. Don't get me wrong, a game of football is a game of football, and I always love watching Chelsea play. It's not very often you get to play teams like Benfica where, although you would probably expect us to win, their team is loaded with experience, and that is going to be really interesting, isn't it? Because our team is young and fresh and energetic and athletic, while the Benfica team, maybe not quite as furious and fast-paced as ours, are loaded with players that have done it at the top level for a really long time. And you've got to think, this is actually a really good opportunity for the boys to play against a Champions League team, right? We're in the Champions League now. The majority of the players in our squad, with the exceptions of a couple like Reece James, for example, haven't played in the Champions League before. Obviously, the Conference League was a bit too easy overall for the team, so we did walk most of it. Even the game against Betis, I expected that to be a lot more hotly contested than it was, but we steamrolled them. So to have an opportunity to come up against Champions League opposition in less than ideal conditions, obviously with, being out in America and it being so hot out there at the moment, this is a great opportunity for them to get a taste of what's coming up next season. A couple of our guys like Cole Palmer with England, Cucurella with Spain, and more recently Neto with Portugal have been in big games and finals and stuff internationally. Do you know what I mean? Where they played with their international teams. So we've got a couple of guys in the squad who know how to rise to a big occasion. And I'm not saying Benfica is this massive occasion, right? But ultimately, being in the Champions League is. So this is like an interesting opportunity for Maresca and the boys to dip their toes in to a Champions League opposition style game. And as we've seen, everyone's taking this competition really, really seriously. Like I've said before, Benfica's team was packed with experience, really, really good players that have been there and done it at the top level. It's all fine and good. People like Madueke being like having a bit of an ego and thinking he's really good, and Cole Palmer obviously probably believing that he belongs on like a big world stage. But now's the time to prove it. This isn't Servette or even Esperance. Do you know what I mean? It's like the jump. I've mentioned before, the Flamengo game took us by surprise. Do you know what I mean? But they're a really, really good team. The difference now is we weren't going into that game expecting Flamengo to be this massive force. And I'm not saying Benfica aren't Bayern Munich, they're Benfica, but at the same time, the expectation is higher in the guys' heads. So there's more pressure on this game than there was on the LAFC or even the Real Betis game, because Benfica have a long and storied history in Europe and everyone knows who they are. There's a few things to watch out for, isn't there? A, the likes of Angel Di Maria, who could just create something out of nothing because he's that kind of guy. And B, this is a higher pressure game in all respects. Flamengo could well be a better side than Benfica are, but it is going to be easier for the boys to get in their own heads about Benfica because it's Champions League opposition, because there's a bit more of a story to it. So this is really the opportunity to go out and show that they belong on that Champions League stage. If we go out and get battered by Benfica, that's just going to look terrible for the start of next season, isn't it? I don't think one way or the other, either of us are going to get steamrolled. I think it will be maybe a 2-1, 2-0 to Chelsea. That's kind of my prediction. You know what? Let's go mad. My prediction for this game, 3-2 to Chelsea. Really interested to see how some of these young guys do against the likes of Angel Di Maria and Nicolas Otamendi, who they know how to win stuff, man. Do you know what I mean? They know how to win stuff. And this is a short, as I said before, this is a short form tournament. So it's going to be all about the moment. Do you know what I mean? There's no style points on offer here. It is ultimately about going out there, digging your heels in and getting the job done. So it's going to be an interesting one. I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. And as ever, if you are enjoying the content and would like to see me make some more, please hit all of the algorithmical buttons, like, share, and subscribe. Let's get this ball rolling. You guys are subscribing slowly, one at a time, and I really, really, really appreciate it. But I need your help. Let's keep going. Let's make this thing happen, and let's talk about football all of the time. So I'm going to leave it there. I'll be back with my patch notes review of the game, probably the morning after, because I like to spend a little while getting these things together. Thanks for sticking around until the end of the video. I can't wait to see you in the next one. Have a wicked day, guys. Peace.